So I just wanted to make a short video about clearing this screen in Farewell. It is one of the hardest screens in the chapter, and it's probably one of the hardest screens in the game. So first let me just demonstrate what I do. Let's break this screen down and do it piece by piece. The beginning's the hardest part. What I usually tell people here is to do an extended super dash instead of an extended hyper dash or a wave dash. Let me demonstrate. That's using a super dash. That's a hyper dash. And that's a wave dash. Let's get into the tech. So I'll try and keep this short. There's lots of other good videos explaining these moves. I'll try and link some in the description. Super dash is where you dash along the ground and jump while you're still in the dash state, so that you get a normal height jump that's boosted. It looks like this. To do an extended super dash, you stay in the dash state a little bit longer so that your dash refreshes before you jump. It looks like this. You can see the differences when I do an extended super dash and jump a little bit later. I get my dash back in the air so that I can dash again. A hyper dash is the same thing, except instead of dashing horizontally along the ground, I dash down diagonal. The hyper dash is taught in Core Seaside, and it's a very valuable move through the game because it does a lower jump arc, but it goes faster. To do an extended hyper dash, just as before, you stay in the dash state longer and delay the jump. And again, you can see that my hair is red when I'm in the air. Finally, a wave dash is very similar to an extended hyper dash, but you start from the air. The wave dash is taught in Farewell. The advantage to using the wave dash is that the game is generous, and if you press the jump button a couple frames before landing on the ground, rather than eating your input, the game actually gives you your jump back, and you get a jump. So, with the wave dash, the timing is a little bit more flexible on jumping because you can buffer the jump a couple frames before you land. If you practice wave dash, you should be able to chain them together like this, and it's a very valuable move for speedrunning. If you practice these moves enough, you'll get to the point where the timing between dashing and jumping is built into your muscle memory, and you should be able to do them easily. This is really helpful for Farewell, some of the Seasides, custom levels, and extremely useful if you want to speedrun. Let's get back to Farewell. The reason I say to use a super dash here instead of a hyper dash or a wave dash is because the slower, higher jump arc of the super dash makes it easier to set up the wall bounce. Let me demonstrate. That's using a super dash. And that's using a hyper dash. You can see also that the hyper dash flings me directly into these spikes that are sticking out here. Let's look at the spacing and the timing. So we can go to the extended variance menu and slow the game down to 10% so that we can get into this. First, I gotta dash up and grab the block. So for spacing, I like to line up the right foot, which is Madeline's left foot, right above that little circle there. For timing, what I like to do is I like to wait until the front of the block, the right side of the block, just peeks into that second gap there, like so. Now, there are many different ways to figure out the timing to this, so whatever system you have works for you, you can keep it. So I dash right now, If you position yourself properly, you won't bonk your head on the spikes, and you'll have plenty of time to figure out the wall bounce. And just like that, we clear the first obstacle. Let's look at what it looks like using a hyperdash. First, grab the block. Since the dash along the ground is about the same, we can line ourselves up at pretty much the same position. It goes faster, so we have to dash a little bit later. I think the best timing that I like to use for the hyperdash is to wait until the right side of the block is at about the end of that column. You can see that the timing window to land the wall bounce is much narrower. Let's look at the rest of the screen. After doing the super dash, we still have to land the wall bounce. The key to landing the wall bounce is not to jump until you're at the top of the block. Also, don't press right immediately after jumping, or else you risk crashing into the column of spikes in the middle or the spikes in the ceiling. Then you can press left and grab back on the block, and it should be easy to clear these two spikes here. But we still have to clear the column sticking up from the ground. There's two options here. You can either do a climb jump, which consumes stamina, or you can jump off to the right. If you jump off to the right, you'll get a little extra momentum from the moving block, and you risk crashing into the spikes coming down from the ceiling. So what I like to do here is use the stamina jump. After you do the jump, you can press right, clear the spikes, and try and grab back onto the bottom of the block. Then you'll clear the spikes sticking down from the ceiling, and you can line yourself up into this gap easily. From there, you can fall down onto the platform and prepare yourself for the second part. To get into the second part of the map, I'll show you the timing and the spacing that I use. So I took a save state here. Playing from the save state, what I like to do is line up the left side of the block with the wall right above this spring. So I wait until the block and the spring line up just like that. Now again, there's many different ways to time this. Whatever you have that works for you, you can stick to it. From this point, I walk down onto the spring, just simply fall and hit the spring, and the timing to land the wall bounce is pretty generous. Just like the first wall bounce, you want to jump when you're at about the top. If you jump too early, you might crash into the spinners there. But on this wall bounce, you can hold right after you do it, and you usually will be fine. From there, you just ride out the block to the end of the screen. The super dash is actually really useful throughout Farewell. I used it a bunch of times in my golden run. First of all, if you're grinding for the golden berry, then you're going to have to do singular a lot. So it can be helpful to go fast. You can use the super dash here into the next room to grab this crystal and skip having to wait on the moving block. You can use it to set up the gate skip by doing an extended super into a wave dash. Then the game teaches you the wave dash. And I died a lot on this screen when I was grinding for the golden, so I figured out another setup for it. Get to the middle block, stand on the left. Instead of doing a wave dash, do a super. Then you can use it again in the next screen to get to the bird faster. I know there's multiple ways to do this screen, but it's really not set up for a wave dash. You can use it here to make grabbing these switches easier. And you can use it here to make it easier to line yourself up with the first spring. Anyway, I hope this video helped in some way. If it's your first time playing Farewell, or if you're grinding for the golden, good luck with your runs.